Okay, so to get started then, what we are going to do is, if you read through the book's going to kind of introduce some important ideas about what learning how to draw means. Okay, and the process one goes through to learn how to draw and develop your artwork. So, the first thing I want to talk to you about, as the book will go into this a little bit in detail too, but who, by raise of hand, has heard of this concept or this theory of right brain, left brain? Raise your hand. Left and right. Okay, so about half of you. Okay, who can tell me what that means? What is this whole concept about? Anybody want to take a shot at trying to explain that? Yeah, Akito?
The left brain controls like math and like analytical stuff, while
Okay.
the right brain controls like creative stuff.
Yeah, so it's this idea that the two halves of our brain like to think in different ways. Where the left side likes to deal with logic. It's very analytical, it's very logical, right? Where the right side likes to think creative. It's more of a think outside the box, problem solving. Okay, is one more important than the other? No, absolutely. We need both of these, right, to be able to function, right? So who can think of what are some things that deal with logic? What are logical things we learn, we do in school? It's for anybody. Do you have any classes, any subjects that deal with right and wrong answers? There's no in-betweens. Yeah. What? Puzzles? Okay. Yeah, I love puzzles. Puzzles? What else? Do you have any classes that focus on memorization of facts? What are they? Come on, spit them out. Don't be shy. I promise. I won't make fun of you. Do you guys have a math class? Math has right and wrong answers, right? Yes? No? You guys are so quiet. Thumbs up? Got it? Yeah? Okay? Yes? Okay, good. I just want, you guys are there. Okay, math. Yeah, math deals with right and wrong answers, right? What's 2 plus 2? Equals what? 4. Yes, 2 plus 2 equals 4. Okay, that's a very logical answer. Does it equal 3? No. Okay, that's a wrong answer, right? So we know that math deals with very left brain kind of attitude, kind of thinking. Okay, do you have any classes that deal with the right side of your brain? That are not so black and white, right or wrong answers? Yeah? Art. Okay, you're sitting in one, right? Art is a very creative, right, class. So there's not necessarily a right or wrong answer. There's millions of right answers as well as there's millions of wrong answers. Yeah. Ceramics. Okay, we'll group that under art. So anything kind of we can do, drawing, sculpture, ceramics. Perfect. Anything else? Yeah. Okay, writing can be. Okay. How about PE? Right? A foods class. Okay. So keeping that in mind, we can go on. Okay. Which side of the brain? I want you guys to take a guess. I'm going to ask for a poll. You can raise your hand. Which side of the brain do we learn to draw with? The key is learning to draw. How do we learn to draw? Do we use the left side of our brain or do we use the right side of our brain? Raise your hand if you think it's the left side of the brain. Raise your hand if you think it's the right side of the brain. Okay? All right, true question, you're all wrong. We learn to draw with the left side of our brain. And the key here being learn to draw. Okay? So we learn to draw with the left side of our brain because our left likes to deal with symbols. Okay? Oops. Not symbols. Symbols. So, for example, I have a couple little kids at home. My youngest is 8, and he's kind of getting out of this phase now. But when the first thing you learn to draw, you give a little kid a crayon, what do? They scribble, right? They just go nuts, right? And they come up with this whole story about what this means. This could be a dog, this could be grandma, this could be their favorite toy, right? And then as they get a little bit older, what happens? Their drawings start to look more like this. They don't count, and so they will sometimes just put tons and tons of fingers and toes, because they don't know how many there are, they just know there's lots of them. So they draw a whole bunch of them. Sometimes they'll do eyes, sometimes they'll do a mouth, okay? And you ask them what that is, that's a person. Do people look like that? No, okay? As they get a little bit older, their drawings will become a little bit more sophisticated. Sometimes they'll put on shoes. They'll have a body. The arms don't come out of the head, but they have arms and they can count, so maybe they'll put 5 fingers now. And this is usually around 5 or 6 that kids will start to really draw this way. Okay? Give them eyes and a mouth, sometimes a nose, and then if it's usually grandma, my kids always drew grandma. And kind of the universal symbol for grandma is a beehive. Little afro. Grandmas just have that haircut. So anyway, this is how they begin to draw. But do people really look this way? Are their arms that skinny? Are their legs that skinny? They're not one solid line, right? No, they're not. Okay, heads aren't like this, right? So then I'll draw a couple other things. What is this? The sun. Does the sun look like that? No, it looks kind of like that, right? It's got features of a sun, but the sun, if we were to compare this to a photograph, we obviously see this as a drawing. What is this? Tree. Good. It's this. What's that? It's a house, right? Okay. So these are all symbols that we've created as little children in order to draw, okay? Because right side of the brain, this creative thinking is far complex for our little brains to handle. So the way that we learn to draw is by creating symbols to represent the world around us, okay? How we see the world is all in a very symbolic way. That's why a lot of kids think that are so black and white. Things are right or wrong, good or bad, okay? There's rarely kind of any of this middle ground for little kids, okay? Either they like something or they don't. That's because they're very, very left brain minded, okay? So what happens is as we get a little bit older and we begin to develop that there is a little bit wiggle room. There is some black and white. It's not just black and white, but there's some gray area in between. We begin to also develop in our drawing abilities. And I'm going to tell you a true story. This happened to me in 7th grade. I decided I always liked drawing. I really enjoyed it quite a bit. And I thought I was fairly good at it. I did several different contests and stuff. And so I always kind of liked it. So I thought a really good present I could give my mom for her birthday was coming up. I wanted to draw a picture of her as a little girl. And I was going to give it to her. And I would be the favorite child. She would just love me, and all my siblings would be jealous because I gave my mom such a beautiful gift. And so I took this picture. I found this little picture of her little girl. So it was a black and white picture. And I started to draw it. So I had the picture, and I started to draw. And this is kind of what I did. I'm kind of reenacting what I did. So I started by drawing, okay, so heads are kind of an oval shape. So I'm going to start off by drawing kind of this oval shape. Let me zoom in here a little bit. And then, okay, so what's next? Eyes. Okay, eyes are towards the top here. They're kind of a football shape, so I'm going to draw kind of this football here and this football right here. And then the pupils are round, so I'm going to put the round dots in here. Okay, not too bad. I'm off to a pretty good start. I was feeling very confident. And then I get to the nose. Okay, the nose is the test. Okay, noses are so difficult to draw. So I figured, okay, so what does a nose look like? So first, the nose has nostrils, so I'm going to give nostrils. Okay, and the person was kind of, the picture she was looking straight on, and so you only draw like the sides of the nose there, and this is where I really started to get nervous, because now my mother looks like a pig. And if I give this to her, she's going to hate me forever. I'm going to go from the favorite child to the least favorite child because I think she looks like a pig. So I thought, oh dear, okay, well maybe I'll put it in the mouth, I'll come back to the nose, work on it later. So I started, okay, so the mouth kind of goes like this, okay, and then she's got lips because she's a girl, so I'm going to give her these lips, and then the bottom lip here, and it didn't help. I looked nothing like my mother at all, okay? So by this point, I gave up. And I stopped drawing, and I literally didn't take any drawing classes. Well, I took one drawing class in junior high, but my whole concept that I was a good artist, I felt defeated. Okay, because what was my problem? Did anybody catch what my problem was? What was I doing when it came to drawing the face? Was I looking? Okay. I was not looking at things visually. What was I doing? Symbols. These are the symbols that my mind has created for what an eye looks like, for what a nose looks like. And I wasn't taking the time to look at the picture. Okay? So what we're going to do today, what each of you are going to do today, is a drawing exercise that is going to, and we won't be able to do the whole thing, but we'll do the first couple exercises of it, and then we'll finish it next time. But we're going to get started today. So what we're going to do is an exercise that is designed to teach you how to shut out the left side of your brain when you draw and to build your right side of the brain. Okay? It's called blind contour drawing. So the idea is that you're going to draw something by only looking at your object and not looking at your paper. Okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is I need to take one piece of paper, and you guys can do this now. Take one piece of paper, tape it down to your desk, please. You've got 2 pieces of tape. Tape it down. Okay, one on the top and one on the bottom. Because you're not looking at your paper, you can't tell if your paper is moving or not. So we want to make sure we tape it down so it doesn't move. Okay, then I'm going to take another piece of paper and put that directly on top and tape just the top part of that down. Okay, because the idea is we're going to use these pens and sometimes they bleed through and will bleed on the table. So the first paper, sorry, I have the hiccups. First paper is just to catch the ink that runs through. Okay, so while you're doing that, this is what you're going to do. I'm going to draw a picture of my hand holding this roll of tape. So I'm going to physically have to turn my body to the side so I can't look at my paper. Okay, and it's going to look really funny and really, really weird, but that's okay. Okay, the point is to practice resisting the urge to use the left side of our brain to draw, but only use the visual information that our brain is looking at. Okay, so I'm going to start off by drawing one part right here. Let's say this is what I'm looking at, and I'm going to follow the edge of my object and try to replicate that on my piece of paper. So anytime I come to a bump, I'm going to include a bump. As I come to an edge, like if I stopped right here, then I could keep going and follow the contour of another edge. And I came to this little line in my finger, so I'm going to include that. I'm going to come down this way, include this little bump here and come back, and then try to record all of this information during this time that I'm given. Okay, so it's going to come around this way. Okay, all right, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and get started. You have to kind of lock your elbow, and I'll talk to you through the process of how artists draw. So you can look at your paper when you go to start, but once you start drawing, don't look back at your paper, okay? I'm going to turn my body to the side and try to do this. Now, one thing that you're doing, you can't talk when you're doing this because talking is left brain, okay? We want to just use the right side of our brain to do this, so I can't talk and draw at the same time. My brain just does not work that way, so I always mess up. So I don't need to be in a hurry. If I go too fast, my brain is not processing the information. So I want to go this fast. Okay, don't go any faster than this. Okay, now I came to an end here, so I'm going to pick up at another spot. This is part of my thumb. I don't hear any laughing yet, so I must be doing a good job. Go to the top of my thumb. It's my thumbnail. This is the roll of tape. This is the inside hole. These are my other fingers. These bumps here are my fingers. Okay, anyway, you get the idea of how it's done? Okay, it's really kind of weird looking, and it's going to feel really kind of strange. But we're going to practice this today, and we'll do a little bit more of it next time, it looks like. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. We're just going to use your pen. Get your hand in position and give it a shot. We're going to do 4 of these drawings, and then we'll turn them all in.